Center for the Ethiopian Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on the classification of the elements. In our last lesson, we learned about the modern periodic table. We learned about the correlation between the electronic configuration of the elements with periodicity of elements. We also learned why the periodic table is shaped the way it is. We learned that it is structured to offer chemists an organized tool with which to refer to the elements. In today's lesson, we will learn how to classify elements as representative, transition, and intertransition elements. We will also discuss the general properties of each of these classes, as well as their location on the periodic table of elements. The modern periodic table has 18 groups and 7 periods. All of the elements are placed on the periodic table in accordance with their valence electrons entering the orbital of lowest energy. The periodic table is divided into blocks, including the S block, the P block, the D block, and the F block. The S and P block elements make up the representative or main group elements. The chemical properties of these elements are determined by the number of valence electrons in their atoms. The S block of the periodic table is made up of the first two groups. The elements in these two groups are distinguished by the property that, in the atomic ground state, the highest energy electron is an s orbital. Hydrogen and helium are both exceptions. The configuration of helium is chemically stable. Therefore, helium does not have any known stable compounds. As a result, it is generally grouped with the noble gases. The last 6 groups of the periodic table constitute the P block minus helium, which is in the S block. The atoms of the elements in the P block have their highest energy electrons in a p orbital. As you can see here, the P block contains all of the nonmetals except for hydrogen and helium. It also includes some metals and metalloids. The D block elements are also referred to as transition elements. There are 4 series of transitional elements: 3D, 4D, 5D, and 6D, which depend upon the energy level of the d orbitals. Lutetium and lawrencium are exceptions to this. Group 12 metals are also in the d block, although their d subshell is filled completely. The atoms of the elements in d block have their highest energy electrons in d orbitals. The f block contains elements that are sometimes called the inner transition elements. In the atomic ground state, the atoms of these elements have their highest energy electrons in f orbitals. The f block differs from the other three blocks in that its division follows the arrangement of elements based on the same sublevel the highest electrons occupy, rather than groups of similar electron configuration. As a result, the f block is divided horizontally into the lanthanide series and the actinide series. These are also referred to as the 4F and 5F series, respectively. These elements have been allotted the same single place in the periodic table, even though their electronic configurations are not identical. The variation in their properties is not substantial. Students, we have just described the periodic table in terms of blocks. Please match each block listed here to the description that best suits it. Do your best, and I will see you in a few minutes.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello again, students. Were you able to match each block to a fitting description? Let us check them now. The D block elements are referred to as transition metals. This block also contains group 12 elements. You should have matched this block with description A. The divisions of block F follow periods of similar atomic number rather than groups of similar electron configuration. This was description B. The S block consists of the first two groups of the periodic table, which was description C. Finally, the P block contains all of the non-metals except for hydrogen and helium. It also contains some metals and metalloids. This was description D. Well done, students. Let us move on and try another activity. Now we are able to classify different elements in terms of their block. Let us locate them on the periodic table. Please draw a rough sketch of the periodic table. Indicate where the S, P, D, and F blocks are located and label them as such.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello, everyone. I wonder how your sketches look. Were you able to locate each of the blocks correctly? If your sketches look like this one, then you have done well. If it does not, please study your textbook so that you will know for next time. In today's lesson, we learned how to classify the elements as being representative, transition, or inner transition. We learned what these classifications mean and where the elements that fall under these classifications are located in the periodic table. In our next lesson, we will discuss some trends in periodic properties. This brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.